But then after I saw the corruption in the church, I completely walked away from it.
How old are you at this point?
I'm like 16, 17.
Yeah.
And the reason these people used to get high like this is they wanted to know what happened after death. That pain that led to my drug addiction, that led to me not feeling complete, wanting to prove something. My brain was just exploding, like everything was clicking. And like I think that happens in the awakening process for a lot of people, where it's just like one day.
What up, everybody? Esoteric Eddie here. Namaste. Yo, today I have an amazing episode with a great guest. Just an all-around great guy, spiritual coach, instructor, among many other things. I've been knowing him for pretty much going on 2 years now. And it's been an amazing journey to know this guy. We've collaborated together on, I think, a couple events. He's a breathwork instructor amongst many things, but we're going to get deep into his story. Thanks again for hanging out. As you can see, we're in a new studio. I'm experimenting, trying to expand the show. We got 1, 2, 3 camera angles. So we expanded, man. We're doing big things. So again, thank you for hanging out with us. Love you all. And without further ado, I want everybody to welcome my homie, the spiritual man of the hour, Ivan.
I appreciate it, man. You hyped me up way too much. Appreciate that. Thanks for having me, bro. Big honor.
Yeah.
Likewise, you're the big spiritual guy. I'm honored to be here.
Hey, I'm an existentialist. But yeah, thanks, man. Yeah, we got a lot to get into, man. I don't even know your full story, you know?
Yeah, a little bit about me. I'm just a regular guy. I'm married for 14 years. I got 3 daughters, 10, 3, and one about to be 2. I'm an astrologer. That's my big forte. That's kind of what brought me, I wouldn't say that's what brought me into the world of spirituality, but it's definitely been a powerful tool for me. Breathwork, like you mentioned, is what I use as my medium to help people get to that next level. I kind of grew up on the whole law of attraction culture.
Oh wow!
Since I was really young, I always tell people I never went to 6th grade camp. I went to a manifestation course
in 6th grade.
Yeah, I was 11, 12, and I took these personal development trainings.
Yeah,
and it was just I think that's kind of what set me up for the life that I kind of have now. And it just really opened up my mind. I always kind of knew how to attract things into my life.
Yeah.
I remember even when I was pretty lost, you would hit up people to, find some drugs in the middle of the night, and I'd be oh no, I'm going to get it. And I'd put my mind to it.
Oh shit. Homie was using manifestation for evil.
I'm not going to sit around and deny it.
I've done the same, brother. Actually, well, I mean, not for evil. Well, you can say it, but
for yourself and
for licentious activity. I was actually just getting into that with my homie who's going to be on the show a couple of days from now, Kyle Sundari's husband.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I was telling him about how recently, man, actually just this past summer, I spiraled back into a crazy abyss. And there was a point where, and I'm not proud to admit this, but there was a point where I was with my best friend and I was basically out of money, man. I'd driven my company into a hole, driven my soul into a hole, and we were pulling out the last few $100s I had at the time to just get some cocaine and go get some strippers and possibly some prostitutes.
Yeah. No, I feel that. No,
but the point of that is, in that moment, my consciousness was this isn't the end. And I was it's okay, go ahead and do it. We're gonna get through this and we're gonna expand. In that moment, I was using manifestation, the law of letting go. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was fuck it, man.
Surrender.
I'm in the abyss. Like they say, when you're hell, go through it. Don't stay. And look where we're at.
Absolutely.
3 motherfucking cameras. My business is booming. I got 3 employees. I'm sitting down with you, and I've got a brand new love in my life. So sometimes you're in hell, you're in evil, and you use manifestation for those things. But, in the back of your mind, as long as you have God in the back of your mind telling you, just keep going, things will get better. we straight.
Absolutely. And I think the biggest part of that lesson was like understanding that we all have that power of attraction.
Yeah.
Whether we know it or not, we're always attracting things. And I was just made aware of it really young. And I was able to be like, no, if I concentrate on what I want, I'm going to get it.
Yeah.
And that kind of pushed me through my whole life. I did go through a period in my life where I was like super Christian too, and I wanted to be a pastor.
Yeah. Wow.
But then like I saw the charade. I mean, no disrespect to, you know, Christian people, but you know, I'm a person that's very observant, and like I like to. I'm not gonna follow somebody just because you say something. I'm gonna watch what you do, and it's just like if I watch you and the way you are, and that doesn't vibrate or resonate with me with what God really is, then I'm not, or at least I could be completely wrong, right? But I mean, to me, I think God is love, and it should be really easy to be able to see love. You shouldn't have to work that hard. And what I mean by that is that there's things that the church has done that are evident that love isn't there, you know? And it's just kind of like, Jesus left a pretty good example. I mean, if you want to believe in that story, right? And I do, just because it's convenient and cool, right? Who doesn't want
Believe in Jesus because it's convenient and cool.
I mean, a lot of people, like, why do you really come to God?
Yeah.
Because you're at the end of it.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, fuck, oh, there better be a creator. Like, it's convenient.
Exactly. I don't like that. I don't like when we come to God just because we're in despair. It's like we should be appreciating God when things are good.
100%.
You know?
But ultimately what I'm saying is that most of us find God when we're in the cave.
Yeah.
We're in the hurt locker, you know, we're like feeling it and we're like, oh, please let there be a source. That's why I said, like, it's convenient that there's this person that came before me and left a great example for me to become a better person.
Yeah.
And that's all I see of Jesus, like, and a great example. And he might not be historically accurate. I mean, I don't know the real story, I guess is what I will say. I'm open to everything. I'm not going to limit him to what some people say he was.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I'm the same, you know. Like, I believe in Jesus Christ, Yeshua Christ. I pray to him every day, you know what I mean? But I don't even know what that means, to be honest.
100%.
Especially being an esoteric historian who, if I wanted to, could completely dismantle Christianity
100%.
to the nuts and bolts.
100%. Like, that's kind of how I feel. I'm like, yeah, it's convenient for me to believe, but the reality is that there's way more to that story, and hopefully we can get a little into that. But
Yeah, I want to walk through your story, man. So, and thank you for giving us a brief rundown. You said a lot there. So, just for right now, let's just start with today. So, give the people an understanding of like who you are today. What do you do? Because you do a lot of things. So.
Okay, so now at this level of my life, I work with people individually on astrology. My particular forte is called zodiacal releasing, which kind of just breaks down your life into chapters, and we kind of go into what chapters in your life you're in order to determine career, love, things of that nature. People usually come to astrologers for those kinds of things.
So you break it down into chapters. So is it kind of like a hero's journey thing where everybody kind of goes through a similar...
No, not at all. Actually, that's kind of where astrology really gets that flavor, particularly because there's only 12 signs, right? And everybody knows those signs. And then the sun is what usually everybody knows is their sun sign.
Yeah.
And even then, when you go into the next layers, like, you know, your sun, moon, and your ascendant, and then, you know, your planets. That's one layer.
Yeah.
But then in order to get into the part where I work is that we use mathematical points. It's freaking cold. I'm sorry. I'm shaking.
Are you cold, bro?
Yeah, no, I'm good. But ultimately what we're doing is we're using mathematical equations, like based on like where the planets were when you were born. And based off that, we do timing techniques where we're able to see what periods are going to be better based on what planets are where.
Okay.
And nobody's is the same.
Did you check like today's forecast?
No, I actually rarely check my forecast.
Okay.
Because I like a mystery.
Yeah, because I remember we've been trying to get this episode done for a long time, and I remember the first couple of times we had to reschedule, you were like, oh, it's actually good because according to the planets, this is not a good time anyway.
It was pretty chaotic. It
So
was
I'm
like,
wondering what the planets are saying today. Like, I wonder
right,
why we decided to meet up today. Maybe the planets are like, today's the day.
today's the day. I mean, it's a Saturday,
Okay.
and the moon is in conjunction with Saturn,
Yeah.
and Saturn is something that you work really hard to get. Like
Oh.
Saturn doesn't give things away easily.
Yeah.
So I mean, you work really hard today to get this set.
Yeah. Are you cold? Are you
I'm
really
fucking trembling. Yeah, I'm gonna put this on.
Yeah. Sorry to laugh.
No, we're good.
For those who are just listening, we're out in the country right now. I moved further into the country, and so it is cold out here. So please forgive Ivan if he seems like
Yeah, I think
cold.
it's a little bit of the butterflies and a little bit of the cold. Yeah, but
Yeah, sorry to cut you off.
no, you're good. Yeah, absolutely.
As you were saying, what?
So that's kind of what I focus on. I focus on timing more than just the regular form of astrology. And once again, I come back to like, I didn't like what I was being sold with astrology. I went back into the boonies. Like the particular form of astrology that I practice is Greco-Roman and Hellenistic particularly. So I went back to the period in time where astrology was at its peak and studied that form. And that's where like a lot of those techniques were lost, because it isn't until like the recent 10 years that they really started translating those Greek texts into English.
Yeah.
So there is like a new wave of like traditional astrologers in that era in the astrology world. But that's kind of where I got my start into that particular form of astrology.
Okay. Greco-Roman. Interesting. Yeah, astrology is an amazing thing, man. Like it's one of the oldest sciences there is, really.
To me it's a language.
Okay.
And it is a science, I guess, in that aspect. But it's more like a language. I always tell people like God doesn't speak English or Spanish or Hebrew or Sanskrit. Like, what is his language? Numbers, signs, like, and that's what astrology is. It's just signs and numbers and interpretations.
Yeah. Yeah, I forgot. I had this pretty cool quote that I came up with. I forgot how it went. I gotta look it up. This is actually the second time that I've had to do this and I forgot what it was. But basically what you're saying is like God speaks in math, right? It speaks in math and in signs and astrology, nature. Like God speaks through nature. And in nature, his language is reflective, as you're saying, in celestial movements, in natural patterns, and all these different things. So it's like I always like to say, if we want to know what God thinks or what God is expecting of us, just look into nature. Nature is God's direct expression, which is pretty wild if you think about it. You know what I mean? Like we have our bodies, so we can speak with our facial expressions, our body language. But what does God speak with? We don't hear God just talking to us every day. Hey, get your ass up. You know what I mean? The sun, you know what I mean? The sun
The
tells
light
us.
of God rises you.
Exactly. So if you want to know what God thinks of us, look at nature, study nature. And it's pretty harrowing, actually, when you study it and you realize what God wants from us. It's actually a project I'm working on, a bigger project.
Yeah, we'll have to look at that.
Yeah, yeah. Because if you study nature, it's obvious that God wants us to go through some amount of suffering.
100%. We live in a dualistic universe. There's just no way you're gonna get through here without feeling some kind of pain. Like,
No.
I think the faster that you become like okay with that and you choose your heart, like life gets really beautiful. And I think that's one of the biggest reasons I chose breathwork as my medium of practice. And once again, like all of the whole thing wraps up together. Like you said, what do I do now?
Yeah.
Like now I help people just get to a better place of being. And I'm not a teacher. I'm a student at best. And I'm just from student to student. Hey, this works for me.
Yeah.
What works for me? Breathwork, astrology. Why? It comes down to like, I always wanted to know what God wanted from me.
Yeah.
What was life about? And it was just like, I looked to my heart to find God.
Yeah.
And God told me, look to the stars. And when I found astrology, I was able to understand myself in a very profound way. and all in the same search, or are in the search of know thyself. Like, what am I really? And like the astrology, oh, it's wishy-washy, this and that. Like, if one atom affects one atom, and once they've been enlaced forever, how could the stars not influence us if we're all carbon-based beings? And carbon only comes from stars when they blow up. Proving that second law of thermodynamics. Energy cannot be created or destroyed, it can only be transformed. That star blew up, died, and then how is that atom, that carbon reanimated, and now you're here? Like, everything is constantly in this flow. And we're so connected with everything. And that's how astrology came such a big part of my life, because it was just like, I was in love with the planet, like with the sun, to be honest. I'm a Leo moon. I'm a Leo moon, so like I'm in love with the sun. I would wake up every day and like see the sunrise. That's kind of my fucking thing. You know how when you're doing drugs and you see the sunrise, it's like, oh fuck.
Yeah, like, no, party's over.
Right.
Time to eat a piece of bread and go to sleep for 14 hours.
Fuck. Time to call in sick to work.
I'm a sick ass fool.
Yeah, I'm not coming in today.
But
ultimately, like, God really was asking me, look to the stars, and now that I've done more research and that I've learned about the stars, like, it's in the Bible. In Genesis, God says,
dude, yeah.
In the firmament, let there be lights. I mean, I'm butchering. Please don't judge me.
Let there be lights.
Let there
be Christmas.
Let there be stars in the firmament, and let them be for signs and seasons.
Yeah.
So like there is like an instruction from God to read interpret his creation, and that every single culture has always done that. If you got to think about it, before all of these distractions, the only show on earth was the sky.
Dude, I was just talking to my girlfriend about that the other day. Like, it was funny because it was at the end of the day, we were both tired, and I was just ready to lay in bed and like watch a movie. I love movies. I'm a movie guy. I'm not really a show guy, but I love movies. I love the art of film and all that stuff. And so I was like, let's go inside, let's watch a movie. She's like, no, look at this. Let's look at the stars for a little bit, because it was really bright, or like they were really bright. And I was like, wow, this is, and her TV thing that she has like what's called the Fire Stick. You know what I mean? Like they have like Roku, whatever.
Yeah.
She had a Fire Stick. I was like, this is interesting. Like, as humanity, we've been doing the same thing forever, just in a different way. Like, here I am sitting in front of what is the new Fire, the TV, watching the stars. And
wow.
Right? My
girl, I just clicked the stars.
Yeah, she's outside in her primal, like, no, let's sit around the actual fire and look at the original stars. So it's kind of a weird thing how like we've switched that. And I think there's something to that. I think primal humans used to get something from sitting and watching a fire.
Oh yeah.
And so we've replaced whatever that is with our phones and our TVs. Now we're getting whatever that used to be, that relationship between the fire entering our eyes and our body with our phone, but it's less effective and probably even defective.
Still light. It's funny that you say that, because like fire is an agency that transforms and transmute anything it touches forever. And it's just like, maybe that's why we used to stare at the fire. It came alive for us.
Yeah.
And we were able to tell stories because it literally dances and sways. And when there's nothing around, like, you make up shit, you start seeing shit, you know what I mean? And I don't think it's bad. I think it's a part of like, kind of like there's all these, we always say, oh, you don't see this, you don't see that, but those are senses.
Yeah.
And those things that we would see are like the essence of something that lays a little bit beyond the common eye, and that you have to truly tap into your senses to see or feel. And I think that when we get away from all the distractions, because that's what they really are, they're just distractions, we're able to tap into our true essence and like into our real senses, and like feel everything around us and connect with everything, and the fire does come alive, and it does have a spirit, and it tells a story. And I think that's how old humans were able to gain so much wisdom from what seems nothing.
Oh yeah,
Because everything is alive, and it's just more than anything, it's
Dude.
always speaking to you.
Absolutely. I have like so much to say, so many questions for you.
Yeah, please.
Before I forget, just to that point right there, we were so much more in tune with nature. And I've said this before on other shows, but I feel like we literally could interact with it on a deeper quantum conscious level, because we have what's called the bicameral mind, right? Which is the theory that that little voice in our head that we hear, that most of us hear, some people don't hear it. You know, like when you're reading a book, and when you're reading a book, do you hear your voice?
Yes.
Most people don't have that. Like half of the population has it, half of the population doesn't have it.
So wow, that's funny. It's funny you say that, because like that I learned an exercise of how to hear that voice from KRS-One. I don't know if you, and I wanted to talk to you about that a little bit, because like hip hop's who you are. Like hip hop was like all my life, like was kind of like a build up to this moment where I was washing my plates in the sink, and it all clicked.
Hold that. I want to get to that.
Okay.
Remember that. I'm sure you can remember that.
Yeah, of course.
Can you remember the most pivotal moment in your life?
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to get to that. There's so many things I want to talk to you about. But and the KRS thing one, is that a part of that? Or
that's totally part of that. So we'll get that. So that voice you hear.
That voice you hear, not everybody has it. I want to meet somebody that doesn't fucking have it, though. I still haven't met somebody that doesn't. But
NPC.
I've met people.
NPC.
NPCs. I've met people who have met people who don't have it. You know what I mean? So, but I want to meet somebody. So apparently the people who can't hear their own voice when they read either see images, they see images, or they have to read out loud. Just fucking weird. So they just have to read it out loud. But the point is, this theory, bicameral mind, states that voice used to be a part of a more prominent survival feature that primal humans had. So we would, and this is why our ancestors would say that they would hear the voice of God or hear the voice of their ancestors. It was a literal loud voice that would come in and be like, "Hey, don't walk down that path. There's tigers down there." And we'd be like, "Oh, all right, cool." You know? And the way I view it, it was actually a super quantum sense that we had, right? Because we still have that on a lower level. Like, you know, when you're like walking down a dark hallway or something, you get the sensibility that there's something wrong. Like maybe I shouldn't go down that way. Or like if somebody's like behind you, you get that sense somebody's behind me. So I think that was a larger sense that we had, where we could literally like perceive danger on a wider scale, and not just perceive it, but have that voice come in and tell us, "Hey, there's something over there." And the reason why I think that is because when we go into indigenous cultures and we ask them, "Hey, how did you know that this plant medicine heals you?" They always have the same answer: "The plants told us." It's like, how the fuck did the plant tell you, dude?
Exactly, yeah.
So it was that sensibility that God put into us. And for whatever reason, it was slowly decreased. For whatever reason, either something came and took it away from us, or God planned for it to slowly go away, or maybe like it was God letting go of us, you know, letting his hand go and saying, "All right, now you are intellectual enough to make the decision," and everything, you know?
I love that. Yeah.
A lot of things to go into that. And so that's one thing I wanted to bring up. Also,
I don't know if you ever heard the theory of the two suns, where they go away from each other and they come back to each other, and the cycles that we're in, the bronze, the silver, and the gold ages are based on like these cycles that we're in with this sun. We're supposedly in this theory where there's two suns and they're connected, kind of like we're in a dualistic universe. There's two to everything. And this other sun, I believe, is Sirius.
Okay.
And when we get the closer we get to Sirius, the more conscious humans get.
So it's kind of like the Yuga thing.
It is 100% the Yuga thing, and it's just based on light. Like literal light is wisdom, is information, and the more light that is shone upon humans, the wider they get. And it's just like these are cycles. That's why we have literal evidence of, fuck, I'm shaking like crazy, civilizations rising and falling during particular periods, and they coincide with the yuccas, and or the yugas. I don't even know if I'm saying that right. I'm sorry. I forget that you're actually cool and people are gonna check me for the shit I said. But I ultimately
we're just having a good time.
Ultimately,
know it all.
no, yeah. I just like to talk. I don't know many things. I'll use words that just sound cool. So please be patient with me. I guess ultimately that coincides with that belief of the yuccas, and it's just light makes things happen.
So to your knowledge and opinion, where are we right now?
Oh God, I would love to believe that we're gonna enter a golden age. That would be my that would be. I'm a really positive.
Go.
Yes, it's the age of Aquarius. It's here. We're gonna have a great time. And sure, I think that might happen. I think that we're at like a gateway.
Oh wow.
Like a time in history where humans are gonna make a jump.
Yeah.
I think that's why there's all these movies that have like the quantum in them, because they always put in movies what they want us to like generate, and I feel like we're gonna enter a time where maybe that's the wrong word. We're gonna enter an age where we're gonna split time, and reality is just gonna get really wacky as people either ascend or descend.
Yeah, like the new Earth theory. Like some people are still in the old Earth, and we're.
I think the new Earth and old Earth, is definitely like an idea of a quantum break where one reality shifts to another.
Yeah.
And I think that I don't think people think that a new Earth is gonna come easily. I don't know if you've ever been to a birth, but
a baby being born.
Yeah.
Not in the moment. No.
I have 3 girls and I've been at every single birth, and they've all been beautiful and just miracles. And it was fucking hard. My wife went through it,
dude,
pain like I've never seen before. And I think that's what people are, they want this new Earth, they want to vibrate high, but it's just like you cannot ascend by the law of vibration. You cannot ascend if you're dense. And you can only let go if you process it. Energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can only be transformed. You can't say a magic prayer and I'm going to heaven. That's not how this works. That's why people, they don't get stuck here. I don't think that you get stuck here. You live here until you learn your lessons, right? But until you are light enough to ascend to that next plane of existence. And I think that that's kind of where we're at right now. We're at this place where a lot of us are getting that information to really make that leap together. Yeah.
Dude, I love that. Just adding so many more questions that I have for you now. But no, I love that because isn't it weird how like there's this push towards like mental health? Like it's a big thing. It's like a worldwide thing. Like we're becoming more aware of our mental health, of our trauma. Like to some people, it's an annoying thing. Like, oh, everything's trauma now. You know what I mean? And there could be like a weird conspiratorial aspect to it. But I think it's kind of telling as a humanity where we're going, because we are focusing way more on mental health, on fixing the traumas of the past and these things. So I think we are slowly being prepared to let go, to become lighter. Like we come from this hard, rough era of our grandparents and the people before them where everything was dense as fuck. We were just here. We were just physical beings, just going through the muck of it all. But like now we are getting lighter. We're expanding our awareness, our sensibility, our empathy, our sympathy. So yeah, maybe we are heading towards this Aquarian age.
I would love that. And I think that I always tell people this, like, time isn't linear. It's always happening. Like what we're trying to do here is already been done. Like, I think that's what the Egyptians did. I think that's what the Aztecs did. They ascended. There was a time, and there you cannot know what's good or evil until you've tasted both. I think every civilization that leaps to that next quantum level
Yeah.
goes through a phase like us where you're toxic. Y'all remember being teenagers?
Yeah.
And it's kind of like we're in that stage where we're gonna make that leap. And it took many people before us in order for us to all do it. Kind of like the 100 monkey phenomena.
Yeah.
And I like Jesus, Buddha, all these enlightened beings came before us and bloomed. I look at humanity as like a plant. And I take this from Eckhart Tolle's book.
Yeah.
Humanity is like this vegetation spread all over Earth. And slowly but surely, here and there, little flowers have bloomed.
Yeah.
Those flowers being Jesus, Krishna, Buddha, these enlightened beings that obviously embody that other realm.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like we're in a time where there's enough information in the world, in the web of consciousness, where we can all make that leap together.
Dude, imagine that.
That'd be pretty gnarly.
Yeah. Yeah, that's an interesting theory, man. Like the New Earth theory or whatever. You know, a person who really believed in that was what's his name? Dang, I did a video on him. What's his name? Philip K. Dick. Do you know him?
No.
So he's one of the most famous and pioneering science fiction writers. His work is what inspired like The Matrix,
Oh, wow.
Blade Runner, and a lot of that kind of stuff.
Oh, wow.
But he was a trip. He honestly believed that his stories were memories from different timelines.
Okay.
He got into like an accident and had to like take like some sort of like anesthesia. So he had like anesthetic revelation, you know, where he left his body pretty much. And he went to a different timeline, he said, where basically martial law happened. Like we went into this weird demonic martial law world system. And he said that, sorry if you hear noise in the background, we're in the country,
we're
filming on my porch. But yeah, he went to this other timeline where we lived in this demonic martial law system. But a small band of Christians, a majority of Christians that were left on the earth, fought it and actually won, and were granted like eternal life because of it, or some weird thing like that. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
But he came back to this realm and was like, "Whoa, what the heck?" And could see that we were like headed towards that timeline. But yeah, it's just trippy dude. But he believed in that like splitting of the timelines kind of thing. But it makes me feel like, damn, did we get left behind? You know what I mean?
I think that time, once again, is an illusion. And all the people that have ever leaped are leaping at the same time into that new realm.
Yeah.
But in their own times, in their own quantum world.
So there's still like an Eddie and Ivan in like a shittier timeline.
No, more like every single person that actually awakes and pops off and goes to the next level, like in their own universe. And what makes the leap is that they all click together, boom, and send the whole plane up.
Damn.
But it's just kind of like everybody from their own little spot is gonna light a fire. That's why I don't know if you've ever heard this theory where they talk about like conscious people don't live next to each other. Like they live far away, and it's because like they're beacons for like a new grid. So when you do, so this is obviously crazy talk, but like when
crazy talk,
when the flash of the sun happens, that quantum leap is gonna happen, and it's just like all these people that are spread out are gonna fucking like blow up in light.
Oh hell no!
Like not like literal, but like I guess like literally turn
country?
into a light being and like radiate that new plane of existence.
What if I got shit to do that day, bro?
Oh, you signed up for this. It's in the contract.
Yeah, that's probably why I'm so drawn to the country, dude. Like, I just want to live in the country. You were just asking me on our way here, like, dog, like, why the fuck do you live out here? You know, like.
I was like, you ready for the apocalypse?
Yeah, and it's funny, man, because like I am as annoying or as embarrassing, I guess, as it is to admit. Like, I'm such an introvert, dude. Like, I'm a kind of a crabby guy, like a hermit.
Me too.
Yeah.
People like, sorry, go ahead.
No, that's
I interrupted you.
yeah. You know, like I'm a hermit, but it's all I'm sure it's all written in my astrology and all that stuff, you know. And the hermit logo, it's literally my logo, the lamp, you know what I mean? So I'm just more drawn to being like hermited and secluded and out there, you know. Maybe that's why. Maybe I'm gonna become a beacon of light and fucking explode one day to help humanity.
I think I worded that wrong, but I'm the same, bro. I'm like I'm a really really social person. Like I have classes, I go to conferences, I talk, but the biggest thing is like I go home and I don't want anybody to talk to me.
Yeah.
I'm really like even like I like running. And I like being, before I ran, I used to just like walking alone and like just literally being alone is my safe space. Like even away from my wife and kids.
Oh, damn.
Like I like that aloneness. Like, I don't know if you grew up this way, but I was raised by a single mom.
No.
And we were left with my older sister to watch me, but I was really alone, you know?
Yeah.
And I stayed that way. Like I've always been kind of a loner, and I really cherish and enjoy being alone.
Yeah.
I think I'm the only person I'm ever gonna be with, so you might as well get really comfortable there.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, being alone, dude. Being alone, just having that peace.
You become your own friend.
It's called schizophrenia, bro.
Yeah. All these spiritual things that we experience and talk about, like if you really sit down with a psych, they're gonna be, oh, you're schizophrenic.
Yeah.
Oh, you're hearing voices.
Yeah, really?
Yeah.
I mean, we all talk to ourselves, you know. Some people just do it more than others.
For sure.
Right?
Yeah. And some people, I guess the problem is when you start talking back to yourself.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, shit, you shouldn't be fighting with yourself that much.
I know. You're an idiot. Oh, you're an idiot. You're an idiot. You're an idiot.
Yeah.
But, dude, yeah, so much to say. That was funny, though. You said you like to be alone, even from your wife and your kids. Like,
Don't put that on the. No, I love being. No, but
no, I know what you mean, though. But I was just thinking of a joke. I'm always like, I have a comedic mind, also. Like, I love comedy, and so sometimes I'm just thinking in jokes, and I'm just like thinking, like, oh, like, yeah, maybe that's why my dad was never home. He was just a chill guy who just loved to be alone. You know, it wasn't because he hated us.
Jesus, when you put it that way. No, he was just a chill guy.
Just a chill guy who liked to be alone.
He just wanted to read books, bro.
Yeah. Oh my God. Dogs are barking. Anyway, so let's get into your story for real now. We're like almost halfway through the podcast, but I want to get into that KRS moment and you having that moment, that pivotal moment.
Yeah.
But just to walk us through it. So you went to that camp in 6th grade.
Yeah.
And that's when you really, was that the first time you got into spirituality?
I didn't even know it was spirituality.
Yeah.
I was just kind of like little rebellious at the time. My mom and I was curious. It was always kind of like these classes were like, oh, we can't tell you what happens. But my mom would go to like a weekend retreat and just come back like changed, like happy.
So she was going to the retreat.
She was going to the retreat.
What organization was this?
It was called Vida en Acción, which is Life in Action. Now it's called Insight. They operate out of Tijuana, Mexico, and here in San Diego. They have offices in a lot of different places. That sparked the curiosity. I went to these classes because of that. I was like,
so your mom would just come home just like happier?
Like my mom went from like being like this, like scared and timid woman and mad. Like she would yell at us like crazy, you know, single mom. No shame there. We were rowdy, but ultimately she would come back like patient, loving, and caring, and I was just like, what the fuck is going on there? And like happy.
Whoa. Like
doing shit she had never done, and I was just like, what's going on? And so I was super curious, and everything was like, oh, we can't tell you. And so I ended up going with my friend, and it was just like the most transformative thing in my life. And it was like,
can you tell us?
Sure, a little bit. It's just trainings that open your mind to what you're carrying, and it's just like the purpose of the training is not to like fix you. It's just to make you aware of what you're doing. You know, a lot of our problems stem from the fact that we're like this, in it, you know, and the second we go back, we're like, oh, fuck, that's why it doesn't work. And it's kind of like that, you know, you get an eye opener. And after those trainings, I went back to my regular life, to be completely honest, and I had a little faith here, but I was a fucking teenager. I wanted to meet chicks and fuck around, and that's kind of what happened. I became Christian. Um, I guess God has always been in my life like that. I've always felt like a purpose to my life. And then, but then after I saw the corruption in the church, I completely walked away from it. And
How old are you at this point?
I'm like 16, 17.
Oh, damn, young.
And I was like, oh, I'm going to be a pastor. But then after this period of my life, like I see the corruption. I didn't like what I got from the
What kind of
church.
things were you seeing?
Just like the reality that it was more about money. I don't think that I would see pastors come in and be like, oh, if you have faith today with $1,000, put it down. And, that's how we set the motion for God to work in our life. And it's just like that. Sure, that might move some things. Faith moves everything. And it's your faith and your will. And that's really what makes it happen. But I just didn't like that. I thought and then one time he was like, I should be charging you for these classes. And I'm like, then charge us. Don't fucking make us feel guilty.
Yeah.
And it was just kind of like, and then this guy was riding around in a Range Rover, living in the best part of town. And it's just like, I remember one time I asked him for a ride and he was like, oh no, it wouldn't look right.
What?
And I'm like, fuck you, what the fuck you mean you don't look right? Like, to me, a leader is the kind of person that, like, a real leader of a church, a pastor, would be the motherfucker cleaning it through when everybody's out.
Oh, yeah.
Like making sure that the lights are right. Like, to me, I'm old school,
Yeah.
I like people that do more than they say. And ultimately, I didn't see that from them, and I got completely unloved. I felt like, ugh, this is dirty.
Yeah, I had a similar experience. Just to sidetrack for a second, I grew up in the Catholic and Christian institutions. Started dating my wife, my first wife, in high school, and her parents were like prayer leaders, like really deeply into the church, and so it was a requirement of me to go to church twice a week.
Oh yeah,
twice a week for 2 years, the first 2 years that we were dating, until we had our own little life. We didn't have to go as much, but I was going so much that I became the sound guy. I was working the soundboard, and that's the one thing I love about church is the music.
I love that too. Yeah.
Oh my God, dude!
They give you a place.
Yeah.
To explore your talent,
dude. There are hidden superstars at church. Like, I fucking loved going there just to hear my homegirl's mom. She was the lead singer. God, just the most beautiful voice, dude. Like, angelic.
I think that's one of the best things that churches still provide, because I think that that's the most godly thing that we can do, is like to dance and chant and praise and thanks to the Creator. That's kind of what you were built for. You know what I mean? That's like literally God. Like, and I'm gonna give a very like opinionated view of the Popol Vuh, but in the Popol Vuh they speak of like how God created humans first through like sticks and shit, and they were emotionless, and He didn't like that. And what He really wanted from creation was that they would be so happy that they would give thanks and praise for being created. That's literally why you were created, so that you could be happy. And that part of church where like they take you into that realm of like giving your heart out to like in the movie Soul, where they take you into your essence and like really worship. That's beautiful. It's the sauce that comes afterwards, that kind of fucks me up. Especially when you're talking about how Jesus died for me and He loves your neighbor, and then you read a verse from the Bible that was like, oh, God says it's okay for you to hit your slaves. It's like, what?
Yeah, there's a lot, man. It's complex. We've made it way too simple as Westerners. It's really a very Western institutional program. And as you know, like in my books, I've broken that down. Like, dude, the Judaism and Christianity is such a complex thing. The Old Testament, the New Testament, and everything around it is such a complex thing, and we can't even get into it, but we've simplified it way too much. But Like we said earlier, it's what do we say? It's convenient and cool.
It's convenient and cool that some dude died for you. Yeah.
Yeah. But just to wrap up my part of it, and then we'll get back into you. Yeah, man. So I was going there twice a week for like a couple years, and I was going so much, I started to get indoctrinated again. And it was like, I was like indoctrinated. I remember like I was sitting smoking a joint with my friend who was like a Rastafarian pretty much. And I was like going off like, nah, you shouldn't worship anybody other than Jesus. And like,
Damn, you were already sucked in.
yeah, I was like in, dude. But then, God had other plans and brought me out of it and got me back into the esoteric stuff. And that's a whole nother story. Like it's a part of my journey. I prayed as an 8-year-old kid to God to give me the path of Solomon. I wanted to know wisdom and knowledge to understand him ultimately. That was the reason. So literally all this esoteric occult shit comes from that moment when I was 8 years old, praying to God that I wanted nothing but just wisdom and knowledge.
100%.
And so it's been a life path to that. But long story short, I was in the church, saw a lot of infidelity, a lot of bullshit, a lot of money things. And I was like, man, fuck this. So
yeah.
It's just obvious. Like the hypocriticalness of it is just so obvious. The humanness of it is so obvious. It's like, it's embarrassing.
I'd rather be alone.
Yeah.
Like,
comes back to that.
Yeah, like comes back to like,
yeah.
Sometimes I see them and they're in the worship. I'm like, fuck, that looks beautiful. But then I'm like, but then you're going to judge me for being an astrologer and because I think Jesus is bigger than one thing.
And here's the thing that's complex about that. It's another project that I'm working on. So many projects. It's funny, and I realize this, how the Bible, the Old Testament, condemns the magic of certain cultures, but doesn't condemn the magic of other cultures. I'll give you an example. So the 3 magi, right? They're described as being, magi, astrologers. And magi is an ancient term for the astrologers of the Persian, the ancient Iranians. And historically speaking, that makes sense because the Chaldeans, the ancient Persians, Iranian people, Sumerian people were the top tier astrologers.
100%.
And the Babylonians, the Persians specifically, were allies of Judea. And in the Bible, it's fine for the Magi to be astrologers.
100%.
Because historically speaking, they were allies of Judea. Mm-hmm. But the Egyptians, oh no, the Egyptians and their magic is sinful, it's demonic, it's sorcery. Because historically speaking, the Egyptians were enemies of Judea. So it's bias. It's historically biased. Anybody who was friendly to Judea, historically speaking, not biblically speaking, are friends, are benevolent in the Bible. But historically speaking, anybody who was enemies are demons and sorcerers. So that's what I mean when I say this shit is complex. It's not meant to be simple.
You got to read a lot of books before you read the Bible. Just so, and history, so that you understand, first of all, humans, we're liars.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We put a lot of sauce on the tacos.
Yep.
And then 2, like, there's so much going on in the Bible. Like, you have to know signs, symbols, like all this stuff so that you can really understand the complexity of the book. It is a book full of wisdom, sure, but it's like a double-edged sword. If you don't know how to use it, you're going to cut yourself. And a lot of people do cut themselves, and they cut others because they don't know how to use it right.
Exactly. Yeah, and you, at the very least, just know history. Like, you're not going to
understand who King James Charles is.
Yeah.
I think that's a good start.
Yeah. There's people who there are religious people who read the Bible, and then there are, historians, esotericists, occultists who read the Bible with a wider view. But anyways, that's a topic for another day. So getting back into your story, so you became a Christian, and then you fell out of Christianity, and then work us to the moment of KRS-One and the dishes.
So I went into the world. To be completely frank, I became a drug addict. Not like my life depended on drugs, no, but I was partying pretty hard. I was DJing and I was having a lot of fun, and it became a routine. And it was starting to take a really big toll on my life. And I had a really, really bad fight with my wife. And I was just like, I need a new life. I'm done with this shit. I need more. I knew more from life. And I was like, okay. And I went back to some trainings, kind of like the ones that I went to when I was a kid, me and my wife. Super powerful trainings. We walked on fire, and fucking just changed my life, bro. Just set me up. And but it was just the catalyst. Like that just kind of got me going.
Wait, hold on. You walked on fire?
Yeah. You never seen like Tony Robbins do trainings like that?
I think I have. Yeah. So like actual fire or just hot coals?
It's fire and hot coals. Yeah.
Damn.
It's a fucking transformative experience. Like, believe it or not, by the time you get to the fire, you're having so much fun. And like, it's just like the end of the ritual where you're kind of just like, the stomp is a dance to the new life.
Wow.
Like you're literally, you're dancing on the ashes of your old life. And once again, like I told you, the flame is a very transmutative thing. Like what you do with the wood that's in there burning is what really makes the magic happen. And that was a catalyst. It took me like a real year and a half to like really like get going in life. Ditch the drugs, get into a better rhythm in my life.
How'd you get out of that? That's a very important thing to me, man. Because like I'm 2 months sober, 2 months sober right now. And so I'm very passionate about sobriety and stuff like that. And even when you're in it, you know, it's okay, you know. But
it's a process. Most of us go into drugs because we are emotional beings. Like this is where your mind should connect with drug addicts. And I base this on like Dr. Gabor Mate's work. Really good researcher, incredible work.
Love his work, dude, for sure.
And it's just like the majority of people that are drug addicts are people that are just emotional. And all of us are emotional. It's just some of us don't know how. Some of us are emotions are like muscles. And some people are more genetically prone to be fucking fit, right? Some people are prone to be way more emotional. And if you don't cater that, it destroys you. And it's just kind of like most people end up doing drugs because they're looking for that edge to life that they haven't really been able to find within themselves or in life. And that quick fix like gets you going. And what really helped me stop was I was tired, bro. I was tired of doing, like, I didn't even get high anymore. Like I would do it and my jaw would start twitching and my mind would start racing and thinking I was a piece of shit.
What was your choice?
Coke. And it was just like I would do coke and like I would just get, as soon as I did a bump, I wanted another one. And then my mouth was already like twitching and I was just like, this is what I've become. Like I remember looking at myself in the mirror and just going like, my marriage was falling apart. I had a daughter and I was just kind of like, this is it. Like my check, I hadn't even gotten my check. I already owed like 180 on blow for my next check. And it was just like, this is it. Fuck this shit. And like, I really got mad. I got mad and I said, I want more from life. And it wasn't easy, bro. It took me like a year of still doing blow, still fucking going through the road. But I had made a choice. I was like, I'm done. And I remember the last time I did blow, like I remember, it was my birthday, and on my birthday, I always did blow. And I didn't. I got married instead. I've been with my wife for a long time, for like 10 years or like 7 years at the time, and we got married on my birthday. And I bought weed instead. And I guess that's something that I should throw in there. Weed helped me out so much, to be really frank. But that was the day where I was just like, things changed. And then like a week later, I saw this guy and I don't know why I knew. I was like, I'm gonna do blow with this guy, but I know this is the last time. And like, sure enough, like he was like, we did a night job and I used to work breaking concrete in the night.
Wow.
And it was like 3 a.m. and he was like, you want blow? And I was like, fuck yeah, you know, it was 3 a.m. after a beatdown. And I was like, yeah, but I knew it was over. I don't know how I knew. It was just like, this is it. This is the last fucking time I'm doing blow.
Yeah.
And ever since then, bro, I've been free. And I don't even think I've had a close call because like the decision has been so firm within me.
Yeah.
I think one time I was faded as fuck,
Yeah.
and like I was just like if somebody offers me blow right now, I need to come back.
Yeah.
I was just so gone,
Shit,
and but I'm glad I didn't even then because you know,
Yeah.
bro, this is what I find like. I used to smoke cigarettes, and then I quit. And then I had one, and then I bought a pack. So I'm like, I don't even want to fucking. I'm good.
Yeah.
I have way too much. I have way too much to be grateful for. I found ways of getting even higher, like way higher. And that's ultimately what I will say. This, like humans are kind of designed to get high.
Yeah.
There is a part of us that wants to know how fast the engine really goes, and they're definitely mediums that are way healthier and better for you to get there. And that's kind of where I focused on. First, it was like weed. Oh, weed. My weed is my anti-drug. Like when I quit coke, I remember like when I would crave coke, I would just smoke. And I was like, if I could smoke this whole fucking blunt and still want coke, like I'll go get coke. And I will fucking blow the whole torch and I'd be caked in my living room and I couldn't drive.
Yeah.
I was like, oh hell no. And I'm hungry. Hell. So that world just completely disappeared because like, and weed is so magical. It like makes everything nice. In the beginning when you smoke, it's just like food was so good and like movies have tracers and you're just so it really blew my mind and it just helped me connect with God because like I fell in love with plants and I just started growing plants like flowers, weed, and tomatoes, and I was just like falling in love with nature and falling in love with God because you know as an extension, and that's kind of why weed was such a powerful tool for me, and I never. It took me like 6 months of no drinking to not crave coke, but then I was able to drink again and not crave anything, and I really do think it was weed like that really helped me in that process. Now, you know, I still smoke more than I should, to be completely honest. I think my biggest problem now is that I like to smoke, like the actual feeling of like inhaling.
Yeah.
There's a big soothing compound there. Maybe I wasn't breastfed enough.
Yeah,
But
I'm the same way. I love a good toke, man. Like, I'm not much of a stoner anymore. Rarely smoke cannabis. But when I did, my favorite way was doobies. Rolling, like just everything, the ritual of it, breaking it down,
the
rolling
ritual.
it up, just sitting there puffing on it. Yeah, like even just having a toothpick, man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
that's what helps me these days. Just having a toothpick, because something about that weird, like suckling, didn't get breastfed enough.
Supposedly the research suggests that it's
Yeah. I don't know what it is, but yeah, I love a good toke, smoking on a doobie. I never got into tobacco, luckily, but
I was not cigarettes. Now I'm in this world where like I look at plants as sacred, and like if somebody uses them for a medicinal purpose, like I'll fuck with it. And like when it comes to tobacco, I'll grab like an actual tobacco leaf,
no way.
and then like I'll put that in my spliff, or I'll put that in I like chops. Like you put weed and tobacco in the bong.
Oh shit.
And I mean, bro, it will throw you to the floor.
Yeah.
And like you have these experiences where you like this is the reason these people used to get high like this is they wanted to know what happened after death. And it was like these experiences make you feel like you're fucking dying. Like when you really smoke tobacco and weed together, or like weed that's really strong for the first time, you fuck. And it's that paranoia that sparks that introspective like conversation.
Yeah.
Like, what happens now? Like that loss of reality is kind of what stems consciousness. That's kind of what the mushrooms did, you wow, like hold on, I'm obviously more than this. And it's kind of like that's kind of what makes us human, getting high, like doing things that really stretch you and make you understand that you're not just your body.
Love that. Yeah, we are more than the body. You know, we're the body and the mind. And yeah, a lot to say there. I think that's pretty much what religion was about in ancient times. You know,
Yeah.
I love what Terence McKenna says. He says, if all these ancient religions, if all the rituals and all the symbols weren't protecting and hiding psychedelics, then whatever it is that they were protecting and hiding isn't worth it.
100%. Yeah, I mean, once you've experienced that part, like it's a gateway.
Yeah.
It's like it really is a gateway, and it's just like once you've experienced that part of yourself and the unity of all, yeah, it's hard. It's hard to It's hard to believe that just being is enough, and like that you could, I don't know, it's hard to say because I don't want to limit the human, that the human can get there on its own, and it has, and for a long time, like people starve themselves, they don't sleep.
Yeah, that's where you get like the extreme yogis, you know what I mean, who are like fasting for 40 days and hanging upside down or something weird, you know,
doing all
like,
these crazy things to get to the same place.
yeah, get to the same place. Yeah, man, I love that. Yeah, obviously God intended for us to use these compounds, and it's all a game. It's a simulation, you know. I view it that way, like, you know, when you're playing a game and you find a little thing, like you just found this, you know, it's like the same thing. It's like at some point humanity was meant to find mushrooms, psilocybin. At some point we were meant to find DMT and these different things, but there's also traps. Like, you found crystal meth.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
But it's all just a simulation on how we can connect to God deeper, you know, and ready ourselves, right? Like, I feel like religion is a system to prepare us for psychedelics, and then psychedelics is a system to prepare us for death.
100%. And I think you phrased that beautifully. First, the practice of the spirituality, like you have to have this foundation, because when you enter this other realm, you better know who the fuck you are. You better have a really strong anchor, because like you said, this is crystal meth. These are demons, you know, like there's a lot going on in this other realm, and you really need to know your essence in order for you not to get entangled with things that you obviously don't want to when you're in this quantum world.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I want to say one thing, and then we'll get back into your story. We've got to hear the dish story. But going back to what you said, that we're all emotional creatures, and drug addicts are the way they are mostly because they're overly emotional. I think that's very true, man. Like we have, I grew up with a lot of drug addicts in my family. I've struggled with drugs and alcohol. And most of the people in my family who are like heavy drug addicts are like the most emotional, you know? And if it wasn't for the drugs, like their lives would have went away where that emotion would have been used for like amazing art and skill, because these people are sometimes the most skillful and artistic people.
Dude,
They feel too much. They're too empathetic. They feel too much. And so they cave in. They numb themselves out. Or there's one episode in their life that happened, and they've just been holding on to that emotion for so long. And, you know, like I had a moment with my best friend one time. We were really drunk, faded, coked out, and we were just trauma swapping, trauma bonding. And we basically found out that like we had been on this path of drug addiction from the moment that our fathers failed us.
yes.
The very first time, we both deduced that, you know, like we both had a similar moment in our lives when we were kids where our fathers like severely let us down.
100%.
You know? Like I remember it's probably the saddest memory I have. And it's actually an interesting question to ask yourself later. You know, what is the saddest memory you have?
It all happened when I washed the dishes.
Oh shit! All right, we're
Yeah.
gonna get to that. But I want you at home or wherever you are to ask yourself that. You know, what is the saddest memory you have? Really think about it. It's gonna be an interesting, what do they call it? Process.
I love that.
And the saddest memory I have was literally a moment
Yeah.
I'm sure he wanted to turn around and just pick us up and hug us,
Take you with him.
Take us with him, stay there, love us, whatever. It must have been a very critical and fucked up moment for him too, as a man. And it must have hurt him dearly to have to turn his back on his kids. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. But it's such a complex emotional moment for everybody and everything. But to have my father turn his back on us literally in that moment and just take off, and then have to go back inside and comfort our mom, our crying mom. It was like something happened to me that, never really went away from that day on.
Yeah, 100%. I guess this is the perfect moment to get into that.
Yeah.
The moment where it all clicked, I was hearing Kendrick Lamar's Damn. And like I had it like downloaded on my phone, and I didn't have like the last 3 songs. And that day, for some reason, I went online and I grabbed it, and it went into the song Fear. That song, boom, 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 and that bass. Like I was washing the dishes, I was still getting goosebumps, and like I might even cry because like I remember the bass reminding me that moment where I got left off, where I got mad. And my whole life, it was just like, even my dad told me like, you're so mad all the time. Why are you so mad? And it wasn't until that moment that I realized I was really, really fucking pissed. I remember not everything, just little details. I remember the dishes were getting washed and the water was spilling. And I was on the floor and my dad was beating my mom's ass. And I remember feeling angry because I couldn't get up to defend my mom. And I understood that my dad wasn't really my friend anymore. And it was like, that moment crashed on me. It literally threw me to the floor. I was washing the dishes and like it all just came flooding into me, and I fell to the floor crying hysterically, remembering that little boy's frustration of like, oh, I want to fucking grow up already so that I could fucking protect my mom. And I think the majority of my life, that anger, that pain is what fueled that pain that led to my drug addiction, that led to me not feeling complete, wanting to prove something. I really did blow because I'm cool, I can do it, oh, fuck you, I don't care. And it was just like this, when you're angry, you have so much to prove. And you put yourself in these situations that fuck you up. I think that this is kind of my crazy theory. I think people that have a lot of pain do heroin. And I think people that have a lot of anger do uppers, crystal, coke. And it's just because what these things do. What does coke and crystal make you feel? Invincible. I can do anything. Why? Because there's a little boy inside of you or a little girl that just feels like they can't do anything. They have no control. So they have this desperate need to feel invincible. So big that they're willing to trade away anything. And then when it comes to these other drugs like heroin, it's just like, heroin literally makes you feel loved. Like in your brain, the receptors that are getting fired up are like the same ones that that feel receptive when you're being loved. A drug addict has compared shooting up. He says, "I feel like my mom's giving me a big hug. Like when I'm sick, and she came over and gave me a hug and fed me soup." That's what he feels. That's the same high he feels. And it's just like we judge these people so harshly, systematically, sure. But it's just like what we're really judging is somebody that is so fucking hurt. Like when I see homeless people now, I really just see like, oh shit, this is probably somebody that got beat down, raped, totally dismal, and that's why they're like this. And then we still have the audacity to say, oh, piece of shit, I can't believe you can't get it together. It's like this person probably could make a whole new world if they would have been nourished and loved the right way.
Yeah, man. Dude, yeah. Thanks for sharing your story, by the way.
Yeah, no, of course. Thank you for hearing me out.
Yeah, that's powerful. Yeah, man, it's sad, you know. And I guess as a part of what our mission here is as healers, you know, is breaking these cycles, breaking these traumas, and bringing us up to that new earth. I was just talking to my girlfriend on the phone the other day. Like, I have this new righteous anger in me because, like, I get mad. Like, why do I have to be the one to break this curse? Like, you know, like, I want to go party. I want to go not give a fuck. You know what I mean? Like, but I can't. I'm not. That's not me anymore. And I get mad at the men in my life who are failing. You know, like I'm the youngest in my family, and I'm the youngest of like my cousins that I grew up with, most of them. You know, always been a young dude around an older crowd.
Yeah.
And even being the youngest dude around this older crowd and my siblings, I've always had to be the one to like pick up the fucking slack. You know?
Who the fuck is gonna come pace me?
Exactly. You know, like, and so I have this righteous anger where it's like, all right, motherfuckers, like you motherfuckers can't get it together. Like you can't be leaders. I'm going to show you how then. And so that righteous anger, it's a good anger. It's not like an anger where it's destructive. It's a new anger that I have where it's like when you're in the gym, you know, and you're just like, I'm going to go fucking hard. That's how I feel about my sobriety now. That's how I feel about breaking these generational curses where it's like, I'm going to fucking show you guys what the fuck a leader is supposed to look like. Yeah. What a man is supposed to look like. Because the men in my life failed to do that for me.
100%.
The moment my father turned his back on me in that moment, fucking failed me. The moment my brothers, I mean, I don't even want to get it. I'm like, I'm going off. Look, I don't want to put my family business out there, but you know, there's a lot of righteous anger in there from the men in my life failing me.
And the only thing I'll say to that, Eddie, is that I'm still angry. That little boy is still pissed, but that little boy is the same way. It's like, where was because in my head, my dad didn't pick my mom. And I guess I'll say this from my life story. My dad was married, is still married.
Yeah.
And he had a second life with my mom.
Oh, wow.
And growing up, the pain was too like, why didn't you pick me? And I think a lot of the things that I do are still kind of like, I'm going to show you that you picked wrong. And like, and now I detach myself from that ego part of myself, but there's still a fucking dog in me that says, oh no, motherfucker, I'm going to make a name for myself. And not to prove anything other than you left the wrong, that's the wrong word. It would be unwise for me to say that there is not anger still.
Yeah, and I think that's okay. And anger, it's all emotion. Emotions are just energy that we can transmute and use for good.
But that anger is not destroying me.
Yes.
That anger isn't killing me in the way that I'm doing right now. That anger is still in me. I wake up every day and I go run a mile. I run 3 miles. And that same anger, you're going to notice me. You know what I mean? And it's just like, I'm still the dog. Like, there's still that anger. That's why I did most of the things that I've done. Like, that's why I became an instructor. Like, you want to shine. You want to be seen. And it's just like, I have now come to terms with the fact that that anger has helped me. And now I thank my dad for his presence and for his absence. And I look at my dad, and I love him, and I hope one day he doesn't see this and go, fuck you. But I wouldn't want to be like him. You know what I mean? Like, my dad cowers away from a lot of really powerful things. Like, I think that, you know, my dad was a healer, and he never pursued it. He never really did anything. He preferred to be an employee. He preferred to play it safe. And I'm not like that. I'm here, hey, bro, I want to die. I guess that's the right way to say it. I want to die knowing I gave it all. I don't want to play it safe. Like, I want to fucking do it. Like, somebody's going to do it. It might as well be me. You know, like you said, like, why didn't you guys break the curses? I don't look at it that way. I look at it more like, cool, then I'm going to be the grandpa or the ancestor that they're going to remember. The one that says, oh, my grandpa did it for us. You know, like, that's on me now. Like, there's no judgment to them, as in, like, thank you for the baton, but now I got it. And get the fuck out the way. Because I'm going to show you what a real man looks like.
Hey.
And with all the love in the world, Dad.
Yeah. No, I love that, man. Like, me and my dad have a great relationship now, you know, and I'm there for my brothers. I'm there for my people, you know, my sisters as well. But, yeah, well said, dude. Well said. So that's it, man. We can get into so much more. We have to do a part 2. You know,
yeah, that would be dope. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing your story with us. Just real quick, share the KRS-One part of it, just because I don't.
Yes. Okay, that's actually super important because, like, I literally before the Kendrick album, like, it was like a day or two where, like, my brain was just exploding, like everything was clicking, and like, I think that happens in the awakening process for a lot of people.
Yeah,
where it's just like one day it all clicks. Like, you start seeing your life and you're like, that's why this happened, and this is why this happened. And, like, I was just like that, going down the rabbit hole in my own life. And I watched this thing from KRS-One. It's like a lecture he has in Oakland, I think. And he talks about the history of hip hop and how much it influences our culture. And, like, that was a huge part for me for understanding, like, a lot of us grew up from the TV, and we don't understand that hip hop was influencing us so much, and like, it becomes us, like, the way we speak, the way we dress, like, that's hip hop. And it was like kind of like revealing to me my culture and, like, all of this stuff. But then he does this exercise where he goes, we're gonna say a word. And he chooses the word microphone. I like to use the word love. And maybe you can join us here at home with this exercise. It's super simple. But he goes, at the count of 3, I want you to say this word. The word is going to be love, all right? And you're not going to say it out loud. You're just going to say it to yourself. Ready? At the count of 3. 1, 2, 3, and... So you just said love, right? So the trippy part about that part is not the fact that you said love, is that you heard yourself say love. And, like, he goes a step further and goes, if you really think about it, you can see your paths. If you really concentrate, like, you could see, feel, at least, remember, have that essence of your past. Like, and if you, like, project yourself forward, you can at least see, I'm going to be in my car in, like, an hour, you know, that I'm seeing the future. Like, where are those eyes? Where is that mouth? Where are those ears? Where are they?
Epic.
And that part was just like, holy shit, like, where is that? Like, you don't even know the biggest part of who you are. Like, you don't even understand the beginning of who you are. That's why it's know thyself. Because the real spectrum of who you are is that being that is not even bound by this material realm. It's infinite. It's God knows where. It's probably everywhere. And that's who you really are. That voice. And that voice, you can train it to be your friend and make it your ally and create great things in life. Or that voice is going to torment you and destroy you. And it's really the story of the wolves. Which one are you going to feed? Which one are you going to nourish? You're always going to be right. That was the moment that it all clicked, that's what the biggest thing that hit me. You're always going to be right. Choose the right words. Choose the right things to focus on. Because you're always going to be right. And I was in this life of pain and struggle, and I realized I can change this. And it was super simple. I always tell people the first and most important thing to change is the way you speak. I changed the way I talked. I changed the way I saw life, and my life became, I want to say perfect, but it's been a joy, bro. It's been a true joy. And I've lived on the other spectrum, and I know what pain and hurt feels like. And on this side, fuck, I love it. I wouldn't go back.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear you when like the not hear you, but I hear the call to party and do all these things. Sometimes still, like I'm still an animal.
Oh yeah.
I'm still a dog, but I have found a deeper high, and it comes through this self-knowledge.
Yeah.
That there's no better drug.
Yeah. Dude, fucking love that. Fucking love that. Great way to end it. Yeah. I don't know why I just want to say this though. For me, it's like, it's not even about getting high anymore. Like I'm sinking deeper into sobriety. Like fuck it. Let's be sober. Like being sober ain't bad, like, but for me, I'm kind of a masochist, I guess, in the way where like, I like to feel, like regenerative pain, I guess. I don't know. I'm just kind of making up a term, but like, like when you go to the gym,
Resilience,
like pain that's going to cause gain, endurance, so like I guess I'm a bit of a masochist in that sense where like I like to cause a little suffering in my life. And so for me, like my party self is suffering, my shadow self is suffering, my demon self is suffering every day that I'm sober. Like the more I'm sober, the more that part of myself suffers. I'm like, yeah, motherfuckers, suffer. Like feel that sobriety. We're going to feel this sobriety. We're going to feel our feelings and move through it. And also it just becomes its own power, its own focused power, that sobriety.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But Ivan, man, thank you for sharing your story with us, dude.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I think the last thing I would like to say is that all of that led to breathwork.
Yes.
And breathwork has been the medium for anybody that joined us on the exercises, bringing forward something that you really heard. Breathwork helped me process that. Once again, energy cannot be created or destroyed, or it can only be transformed. The only real reason to bring any of this back into your life is so that you can let it go. Breathwork was a way where I didn't even have to think. It just came out. And I encourage anybody that's struggling out there with any form of depression, anxiety, sobriety, the fastest way for you to like start processing some of these things is write it down, write anything. Just learn to write every day to start letting some of this pain out. That's what's helped me a lot.
Heck yeah, dude. Yeah. Please, everybody, give the man a follow. Let him know where they can follow you and everything.
The best way to get to me is probably on Instagram, and I am IVANM.OCHOA. Ivan M.Ochoa.
Yeah, we're going to have that in the link in the description. Don't even trip. Yeah, I mean, we met through, you reached out to me because of my work as Esoteric Eddie, and then we worked together at a breathwork event, the first breathwork event I ever put together. He was the instructor there, and, okay, we're still recording. All right. Yeah, he was the instructor there, and that night sparked a domino effect that brought so many people together and created so many other amazing experiences. Like, that was a special moment.
It was
a special moment.
Thank you for putting that together, man.
Dude, you're welcome. Thank you for, coming through and being the breathwork instructor for that. I
appreciate that.
But yeah, thanks again, man. Love y'all. Thanks for kicking it with us, Ivan. Thanks, brother.
Appreciate you, Esoteric. Yeah, man, I'm a groupie, so I feel super fucking stoked to be here, man.
No, we're comrades.
I appreciate that. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, man.
All right.
Peace.
On the next one, guys.
Man, bro, we did it.
We did it, bro.